Revealed, my parents spent $280K on a wedding, heartbreakingly denied $75K to save my daughter. Amy sat on the edge of her bed, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. The news about Lily hit her like a freight train, a life-threatening illness diagnosed with the cold precision of a doctor's voice. As a nurse, she had seen her share of struggles, but this was different. This was her daughter. The one who filled her nights with laughter, her mornings with sticky kisses, and her heart with an indescribable love. How could life be so cruel? 75,000. It felt like a mountain, a monstrous figure looming overhead. Reflecting on the past, Amy couldn't shake the images of her wedding day from 10 years ago. A day painted in grandiosity, cascading flowers, and the facade of perfection her parents had crafted. All the pomp and circumstance, 280,000 spent in the blink of an eye, just to impress the neighbors. Where had that money gone when her own child was now in need? Her parents, once the golden standard of support, now turned into walls she couldn't break through. Every day, she strapped on her scrubs and pushed through the exhaustion of long shifts, all while her mind busied itself with the gnawing worry for Lily. Their tight budget felt like shackles, binding her hopes and trapping her in despair. As the clock ticked relentlessly onward, the chorus of Lily's fragile breaths in her sleep became a constant background melody of fear and fighting spirit. During a tense family dinner, with the echoes of laughter turned to silence, everything erupted. How can you still prioritize success over your granddaughter's life? Amy yelled, holding back tears. It was a question that carried years of buried emotions. Her mother blinked, taken aback. You need to learn self-reliance, Amy. Her father's voice boomed in response, filled with anger and judgment. The tension escalated fast, until all air surged with the weight of years unspoken. That night, as Amy lay awake, her heart raced with the wreckage of that dinner, her parents' words echoing like a haunting. They were caged in their idea of success, blind to their own daughter's suffering. But nothing could prepare her for the moment a flicker of hope would ignite. Soon came talk of the community fundraiser, a chance, a glimmer in the darkness. Neighbor helping neighbor, the phrase floated around her mind, full of potential. Images of sharing baked goods and cheerful camaraderie sprang to life, pushing back the heavy clouds of doubt. Maybe, just maybe, they could rally together for Lily. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As excitement bubbled within her, Amy couldn't shake a lingering fear. She needed to confront her parents again, to heal the rift or build a bridge for Lily's sake. The conversation was fraught with vulnerability, her mother finally revealing the pressures of her own upbringing. A childhood haunted by poverty had fueled her obsession with facade. Would this moment crack the icy shell of misunderstanding? Just as Amy processed her mother's tears, a notification pinged through her phone. The fundraiser had exceeded its goal, lighting a small fire of hope in her chest. Yet, the sight of her parents across the room, caught between shame and defiance, held her back. Could they finally unite for Lily, or would they remain prisoners of their past? The stakes couldn't be higher as Amy stood on the precipice of renewed hope, uncertain if they would take the step forward or slip back into isolation. Amy paced the living room, the warm glow of the table lamp contrasting sharply with the chill settling in her heart. The news of the fundraiser felt like a fragile thread pulling her closer to hope, but the silence that engulfed the room was deafening. She stared at her parents, who sat on the couch, her father's fists clenched and her mother's eyes glistening with unshed tears. Can we just talk? She finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Breathing past her anxiety, she hoped for understanding. Not demands or accusations, but something real. Her mother's gaze faltered first. What do you want me to say, Amy? There was a rawness in her tone, a mix of defeat and frustration that hit Amy hard. We did what we thought was best for you. But did you ever think about what I needed? Amy replied, a tremor in her voice. Not the fancy wedding or the great image, but me, your daughter. Lily's sick, and you have a chance to help. And what should we do? Just throw money around because you're asking? Her father scoffed, his bravado faltering for just a second. Life doesn't work like that. Tears burned her eyes as she looked at them, willing them to see past the walls they had built. You had all that money for a wedding you felt was worth it, but now you want to spend it on saving your granddaughter? This isn't about money, it's about love. Can you at least understand that? For a moment, the air hung heavy with tension, time felt suspended. She was scared to breathe, worried her words might shatter the tenuous connection they shared. But then her mother took a deep breath, as if mustering the strength to confront their past. Amy, we did what we thought was right because of how we grew up. We didn't want to repeat those mistakes. The regret in her voice made Amy's heart ache. And I don't want to repeat yours, Amy replied, dropping onto the floor, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. We need to change this cycle. Your image is not more important than Lily's life. Just then, a notification pinged on her phone. She barely glanced at it, but the sound pulled her out of the intense moment. When she did check, her breath caught. The fundraiser was trending online. People were sharing their support, spreading the word further than she had ever imagined. Look, she said, pointing excitedly. Look at this. People are helping us, and it's only been a day. Your friends, the community, they care. Her father's expression softened, confusion flickering across his face. They're giving money? For her? Yes. And that's what I'm talking about. Not just for me but for Lily. This isn't just a charity. It's a gathering of love and support. Can you allow yourselves to see how people want to help? Amy's heart raced as she looked between her parents. For the first time, she thought their defenses might be crumbling. Perhaps they were beginning to realize the depth of the situation, how much they stood to gain from truly stepping forward together, but would they take that leap? The question hung in the air like a fragile promise, a chance for restoration hanging delicately in the balance. Just as she felt a flicker of hope, her father stood, walking towards the door. Where are you going? I need to think, he muttered, the weight of choice in his tone. As the door closed behind him, Amy felt panic rise. Was this a moment of change or just another step back? With her breath caught in her throat, she turned to her mother, who was staring at the door, lost in thought. Would this be the moment they finally broke free of the past, or would they falter again? Tomorrow, when her father returned, would he bear the weight of their future and rise to the occasion? Or would they remain fractured amidst the roar of the growing support? The uncertainty gnawed at her, and as night fell, so did the shadows of doubt. Amy sat on the floor, the silence stretching heavy around her. The soft ticking of the clock on the wall felt like a countdown, each tick echoing her rising anxiety. The news notifications flashed on her phone, but she couldn't focus on them through the haze of uncertainty hanging in the air. Her mother remained quiet, still staring at the closed door as if it held the answers. She seemed lost in her own world, the glittering wedding photos still fresh in her mind. It hit Amy again, the sharp contrast between glamorous memories and the harsh reality of their current situation. Mom, Amy finally said, her voice breaking the silence gently. What if this is the turning point? What if he can change? Her mother turned slowly, the understatement of her expression heavy with resignation. My heart wants to believe that. But what if she let the unsaid words hang in the air? The fear of being disappointed loomed larger than the spark of hope. The silence that followed stung, raw and poignant. Amy felt the need to bridge the gap. You always told me about forgiveness, she pressed. About how, in life, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Her mother shifted, eyes narrowing just slightly in thought. It's not that easy, Amy. It's not just about forgiveness, it's about trust. This cycle, you can't just wish it away. Amy nodded, understanding the weight of words that had lived in their family for too long. But your trust could mean so much more than holding on to those pain-filled memories. We can rewrite how our family loves each other. Just then, Her phone buzzed again, pulling her out of the moment. With hesitation, she glanced at the screen. New messages poured in. People were sharing the fundraiser, sending words of encouragement, and donating. It felt like an army of compassion had sprung up in response to her need. "Mom, look," she said, urgency and excitement blending together. "It's growing. We're not alone in this fight." For the first time, her mother leaned closer. The warmth of the community's support began to illuminate the dark corners of doubt. She scrolled through the updates, each comment seemed to reach her, sending ripples of emotion across her face. "Amy, these people, they really care?" Her mother's voice quivered, a mixture of disbelief and awakening hope. "Is this what love looks like?" "Yes. Look at them. They don't even know us, yet they care. This could be us, we could be there for each other like this." But before they could fully absorb that feeling, the front door creaked open anew. Her father emerged from the shadows, eyes wide. He took a few hesitant steps back inside, his face caught between uncertainty and realization. The panic that had clung to Amy's heart began to ease just a little. Maybe he had spent that time wrestling with himself. "Dad?" she said softly, standing and crossing the room to meet him. "Did you really explore what I said?" His eyes flickered between her and her mother, struggling to find words. I didn't realize just how trapped we've been. Not just you and Lily, but us. We're stuck," he admitted, voice cracking. As he spoke, a new kind of tension filled the room, one of possibility. Would he finally acknowledge the roots of their struggles and take a step forward into the light of vulnerability? But then, just as hope began to swell, her father suddenly hesitated, a shadow passing over his face. Inspiration was one thing, but would he grasp for it? "What if it's too late?" he muttered. The question hung there again, the murmur of doubt threatening to pull them back into darkness. Would all this change only lead them down the path of more pain, or would this new awareness spark the change they desperately needed? Tomorrow could bring clarity or chaos. What would tomorrow hold for them? Amy's heart raced as she stared at her father, waiting for the answer that could reshape everything. Amy's breath caught as she locked eyes with her father. She saw the weight of the world sitting on his shoulders, a mixture of regret and fear etched deep into his features. She wanted to believe in redemption, wanted to feel the warmth of hope radiate from him, but his hesitation made those feelings feel like fragile glass, ready to shatter at any moment. "Dad," she pressed, her voice trembling slightly, "we need you to be here, fully. Not just in body, but in heart too." Her words hung thick in the air. "You said we were trapped. How are you going to fix that if you're scared?" He shifted his weight, looking down at the floor as if willing it to open and swallow him whole. "I've made so many mistakes, Amy. How do I even start to make it right?" Her mother's breath hitched beside her. "You start with honesty," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "With your daughters, with yourself. It's about being real." The tension in the room felt heavy but charged with something new, a flicker of resolve that Amy sensed growing. It was terrifying and exhilarating, like the first hint of dawn after a long night. "Okay, let us talk," her father finally said, lifting his gaze and letting out a shaky breath. "I've been running from this for too long, pretending everything was fine. I thought if I just kept my head down, somehow it would all work out. But I see now." His voice trembled, and the weight seemed to thicken again. "I see how much I've hurt you both." Her mother stepped forward slightly. "We want to heal. We just need to figure out how to take that first step. But you need to want this too." He nodded slowly, the acceptance dawning in his eyes. "I want to try. I really do." Then, as if the universe was responding, another buzz echoed from Amy's phone, cutting through the emotional moment like a spark igniting a fuse. It was another update from the fundraiser, more donations pouring in, more strangers banding together for them, for hope. "Look!" Amy exclaimed, pointing. "It's growing faster now." Her fingers shook as she swiped to see the latest news. Her mother drew closer, peering at the screen. How is this happening?" The disbelief transformed into wonder. "People want to help. They believe in us and you, Dad. They want to see us rebuild. Her heart soared a little higher, the warmth chasing away the chill of uncertainty. Maybe her father hesitated, but this time his voice was stronger, filled with an unexpected determination. Maybe if we let this community help us, we can find a way to help each other too. Amy's eyes sparkled with a mix of surprise and unrestrained hope. It felt fragile, but so did the confidence swelling in the air. Let us promise to be open, Amy said, clutching her father's arm. To listen, to admit our fears and hopes. If we can do it together, we can break this cycle. Her father nodded, the beginnings of a small smile appearing, though doubt still lingered like a distant storm cloud. I'm scared, Amy. But I want to try. Trying is all we need right now, her mother said softly, stepping closer. As they faced each other, the three of them began to draw strength from that moment. The shadows that had loomed for so long might finally become memories instead of chains. But even in that burgeoning light, who knew what lay ahead? The door creaked again, this time startling them. Her sister Lily stood there, wide-eyed, a bag in her small hands. What's happening? She asked, glancing quickly between them. Lily, Amy said, heart sinking and rising all at once. Come in. We need to talk. As she did, Amy felt the pulse of tension shift again. Would this conversation unite them, or would it deepen the fractures? The answer was just beginning to unfold, with courage edging them forward, into the unknown. What would they discover together, as a family facing the truth? Lily stepped inside, her curiosity wrapped in innocence. The small bag she carried swung gently at her side, a stark contrast to the heavy atmosphere thickening around them. Her wide eyes darted from their mother to their father, taking in the scene with the clarity only a child could possess. What's wrong? She asked, her voice small yet brimming with concern. All good, Lil, Amy replied, giving her sister a reassuring smile. It felt like a balmy breeze on a crisp day, but she could sense the storm clouds still swirling over their heads. We're just talking about some things, you know, family stuff. Lily looked between them, processing the weight of her sister's words, but her frown suggested she sensed the deeper currents swirling beneath the surface. Is Dad okay? She pressed, stepping closer, her little fingers tightening around the bag. I'm okay. I'm trying to be okay, their father said, his voice quivering like an old bridge, uncertain yet willing to bear the weight. He sounded more fragile than he had in years. We're working through some feelings right now. Amy watched as Lily's brows furrowed in thought, her innocent mind attempting to piece together the fragments of a puzzle that felt too complex. What feelings? Lily asked, tilting her head, the innocence of youth juxtaposed against the weariness of adulthood that loomed over Amy and her parents. Their mother stepped in, kneeling to meet Lily's gaze. Feelings about being a family and how we can try to be better for each other, she explained softly, her voice wrapping around the words like a protective embrace. Another buzz from Amy's phone startled the moment, this time with an alert announcing a new milestone in the fundraiser. They had surpassed their original goal. It felt magnificent yet strange amidst the uncertainty looming in their personal lives. Look! Amy said, her excitement palpable as she held the phone in front of her sister. People really care about us. They want to help. But the joy fluttering in the room didn't lessen the tension. Her father studied the screen, a mix of guilt and gratitude etching deeper lines across his face. Why does it matter what they think? Lily asked, her naivety shining through. Aren't we enough? The question hung like a precious gem, revealing the truth that thrummed in the air. We are, Amy said, feeling a swell of pride for her sister's insight. But sometimes, when you're feeling lost, it's nice to know other people believe in you too. Their father ran a hand through his hair, the tension easing slightly as he chuckled softly. You're wise beyond your years, kiddo. I still have so much to learn. We all do, their mother added, rising back to her feet. And that's why talking like this together is so important. Lily, still clutching her small bag, looked genuinely curious. What's really going on, then? Are we in trouble? A silence blanketed the room, as the weight of that question landed heavily on each of them. No one wanted to talk about it. Yet, the thought of keeping secrets from Lily felt too burdensome, like carrying rocks in their pockets. Amy could see it in her father's eyes, a flicker of resolution amidst uncertainty. If we're going to get through this together, we need to be honest. But it's going to take time, and that's okay. Can we talk about it now? Lily insisted, her tone firm. I want to help. There was a beauty in her sister's innocence that struck Amy like a chorus of laughter on a quiet street. But the path ahead seemed complicated, lined with unspoken fears and broken promises. Let us take it one step at a time, their mother suggested, wrapping her arm around Lily, pulling her closer against the tension that crackled between them. Amy saw the spark in her father's eyes, a sign that he was ready to start healing those jagged edges of their family. She felt hope whispering through the cracks, even as uncertainty loomed around them. And just as they began to shift their focus back to one another, the doorbell rang, unexpected and piercing through their discussion. Who could it be? The moment teetered on the edge. Every heartbeat stretching with the potential of new revelations. What awaited them beyond the door? Amy's heart raced as the doorbell echoed through the silence like thunder. Each ring felt heavy with unanswered questions, amplifying the tension in the room. She glanced at Lily, who had tilted her head in curiosity, and then at their parents, faces caught in a delicate balance of worry and hope. Who is it? Lily asked, her innocence bright against the scene's weight. I don't know, Amy replied, shaking off the fog clouding her thoughts. She stood up, trying to ignore the stir of anxiety curling in her stomach. A quick glance at her father showed a flash of hesitation in his eyes. They all felt it. The door represented not just a disruption but a potential turning point. With a deep breath, Amy approached the door, each step seeming to crackle with energy. She hesitated briefly before turning the knob, wondering if she was ready for whatever was about to come through that door. As the door swung open, a gust of chill air rushed in, carrying with it a wave of unanticipated emotion. Before her stood Mrs. Thompson, their neighbor, her face etched in worry, eyes red-rimmed. She immediately enveloped Amy in a hug, an instinctive comfort that felt foreign yet familiar. "Oh, Amy," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice barely a whisper, "I heard. I just had to come. Is everything okay?" The words melted like sugar on Amy's tongue, bittersweet and heavy. She nodded slowly, but she could feel the walls pressing against her. "We're trying to figure things out." Lily peeked around Amy, her small face filled with intrigue. "Are you here for family stuff too?" The question hung in the air, drawing Mrs. Thompson's gaze toward the little girl. A flicker of sadness crossed her face, but it was quickly replaced by a gentle smile. "Yes, sweet girl. Family stuff. It's important to talk it out." Feeling the weight of Mrs. Thompson's presence, Amy took a step back. "Why don't you come in?" As Mrs. Thompson entered, Amy couldn't shake the unease that had settled over her like a fog. It was supposed to be a moment of clarity, but every question about their family loomed larger. They had become experts at dodging the truth, but now it felt unfair to keep their neighbor in the dark. "We just..." Amy began, but the words tangled in her throat. A part of her wanted to explain everything, the fundraiser, their struggles, as if sharing it would lighten the load. But would that only magnify their grief? Her mother quickly joined them, a supportive hand on Amy's shoulder. "We appreciate you checking in, Mrs. Thompson. We're going through a rocky patch right now." As Lily looked between grown-ups, the innocence on her face began to melt into confusion. "Why is it rocky?" Their mother glanced at their father, who looked caught in a storm of emotions. He breathed deeply, visibly steeling himself. "It's just life's complicated sometimes, sweetheart." There was a hardness in his tone that surprised Amy. It was the kind of hardness that pulled all the warmth out of the room, replacing it with a chill that echoed their fears. "Complicated how?" Lily asked, her words sharp, cutting through the tension. There was something powerful in her innocence, demanding truth in a space filled with vague answers. "I think we'll be okay," their father said, his voice steadier now, as if he was trying to convince himself. But we have to face things head on. Before anyone could respond, another knock sounded, a rapid rhythm that felt urgent. Amy's breath caught. What else could be waiting on the other side? With all eyes fixed on her, she turned toward the door again. Could it be more help, or would it be more hurt? As she slowly opened the door, her heart danced between hope and dread. Who stood there, and how would they change everything? Standing on the doorstep, eyes wide and filled with intensity, was Thomas, a childhood friend of Amy and Lily. His hair was disheveled, and his cheeks were flushed from running. "Amy," he panted, "I need to talk to you. It's important." The moment hung in the air, thick with unspoken words. Amy felt the weight of her family's gaze pinning her down, expectation mixing with anxiety. She stepped aside, allowing Thomas to enter, the chill from outside still clinging to him. "What is going on?" Amy asked, her voice steady, though her heart raced with uncertainty. Thomas looked around at the gathered family, uncertain how to begin. "I just heard some things about the fundraiser." "Bad news." The room fell silent, everyone on edge. Amy's gaze darted to her father, his face lined with furrowed brows. "What are you talking about?" "Some kids at school were saying the funds might not come through," Thomas rushed on, glancing at Lily, who was now clinging to their mother's leg, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "They said expenses are too high, and it could fall apart." Amy swallowed hard. It was as if a weight had landed in her stomach. She'd fought so hard to keep the hope alive, and now no. Her voice cracked. "No, that can't be right." Thomas nodded, his eyes shining with concern. "I wouldn't have come here without knowing for sure, but it's spreading. If it gets out, people will freak out, and that could ruin everything." The implications were suffocating. The fundraiser meant everything. It was a lifeline, a flicker of hope in a world that felt increasingly dark. If it fell apart? Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, trying to lend comfort. "It's not over yet. You must talk to the organizers and find solutions." "But how?" Amy's voice trembled as she searched for the right words. "All the planning, all the effort." Her father joined the conversation, standing tall. "We'll fix this. We've faced worse." He looked directly at Amy, softening slightly. "We just have to be smart about it. Maybe some of the parents, they could help spread the word?" Amy suggested, trying to find a spark of optimism. But in her heart, dread pooled like a stone. Lily tugged at Amy's sleeve, her small voice breaking through the heavy discussion. "Will it really help, Amy? Are we going to save the dance?" The unfiltered innocence of her sister broke through the tension, yet Amy felt a fresh wave of guilt wash over her. "I want to promise you we will," she whispered, brushing a stray hair from Lily's forehead. "But I don't know. We're going to try, though." As the air vibrated with the weight of the moment, Thomas' eyes brimmed with sincerity. "Let us hold a meeting. Tonight, at the park? Everybody can come. It might help. We can raise awareness before the truth blows up bigger than it already is." Amy's heart twisted. She felt torn. Part of her wanted to gather the townspeople, stoke hope, and fight for what they believed in. But an equally powerful part of her warned that confronting the truth might only deepen the chasm that had already opened between their family and their community. "We can't let them talk behind our backs," her father said sharply, his frustration bubbling to the surface, a reflection of the turmoil they'd all been feeling. "We have to do something," Amy pressed, feeling the resolve build inside her. As decisions hung perilously in the air, she suddenly remembered the gift of community, the support they'd always shared. But could they rally together when faced with harsh reality? "Okay," she breathed, her voice stronger. "A meeting sounds right. It's time we face this together." With determination igniting in her heart, she turned to Thomas. "Let us make it happen." But even as she spoke, uncertainty loomed large. What truths were they about to uncover? Could they mend things before it spiraled too far out of control? And just as she was about to turn back to her family, another knock echoed from the door, this time more insistent, as if demanding entry. Who else had come, and how would they change the course of the night? The atmosphere shifted again as Amy's heart raced with a mix of anxiety and curiosity. She glanced at her family, each face mirroring her own concerns. Who could that be now? She wondered aloud, as she stepped toward the door, her pulse quickening with anticipation. Maybe it's someone who can help, Thomas said, a flicker of hope dancing in his eyes. Taking a deep breath, Amy opened the door, her mind racing with possibilities. Standing on the threshold was a tall figure draped in a dark coat, the hood pulled back to reveal a familiar face. It was Ms. Allen, the school principal. Her expression was serious, a stark contrast to the warmth Amy had often felt from her. "Amy," Ms. Allen said softly, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "I heard about the fundraiser. May I come in?" "Of course," Amy replied, stepping aside once more. Ms. Allen entered, and Amy closed the door, the weight of the moment heavy on her shoulders. "Thank you," Ms. Allen said, her eyes scanning the room before settling on Thomas. "I presume you've shared the news with Amy?" "Yes," Thomas confirmed, guilt etched across his face. "We thought it best to talk about it right away." Ms. Allen took a deep breath. "I won't sugarcoat this. The rumors are already swirling, and if they gain traction..." Her voice trailed off, the implications evident. "What can we do?" Amy interjected, feeling the urgency pulse in her veins. "We're holding a meeting tonight. We need ideas, anything to keep the hope alive." "I admire your spirit," Ms. Allen replied, her tone softening slightly. "But it takes more than hope. It's about rallying the community." Lily, who had been silently watching, spoke up. "Can we have a bake sale? Everyone loves cookies." Her innocent suggestion brought a moment of lightness, a brief escape from the heaviness pressing down on them. "That's a brilliant idea." Thomas chimed in, nodding enthusiastically. "We could put on a bake sale, and get other students involved. Maybe even ask local businesses for donations." Ms. Allen raised an eyebrow. "Creating a buzz is key, but we'll need more than just cookies, I'm afraid. We need a well-thought-out plan to address the financial concerns." "Are there grants or sponsorships?" Amy asked, her mind racing. "Maybe we can highlight the impact this fundraiser has on the whole community." "Exactly," Ms. Allen agreed, a flicker of hope kindling in her eyes. "If we can show the potential benefits, it may convince people to step up. But you'll need to pull together some really compelling reasons why this fundraiser is crucial." Realizing the task ahead felt both daunting and thrilling, Amy nodded firmly. "We can do it. We will do it." The rush of determination surged through her, fueled by the desire to protect her sister's joy, their dreams, and so much more. As they began brainstorming ideas, the sound of laughter broke through the tension. It was their mother, engaging Lily and the others in small chatter, oblivious to the storm threatening their plans. It reminded Amy of the preciousness of these moments, her family's togetherness acting as a balm to her inner turmoil. Just then, Amy's father rejoined them, a worried frown etched across his face. "What is going on? Is it worse than we thought?" "It's not over yet," Ms. Allen assured him. "But we need a united front. The meeting at the park is going to be our foundation." As the group formed plans, Amy could feel hope mixing with fear within her. They were stronger together, and yet, was it enough? The clock was ticking, and every minute brought them closer to confrontation. She suddenly remembered Ms. Allen's last warning, a weight that settled in her chest. What if no one shows up tonight? She wondered aloud, the fear creeping back. "Then we show them why they should care," Thomas replied, resolve firm in his voice. "Together, we'll make them listen." As the evening drew closer, the urgency surged. Would they be able to gather their community for a cause that mattered deeply? What would happen if they didn't? And, just as hope began to flicker, a new thought struck Amy. In the midst of rallying their community, was there a deeper sacrifice they'd have to make in order to save the dance, and perhaps, even their family? Amy felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The stakes were overwhelming. She looked around the room, each family member lost in thought, the weight of their situation hovering over them like a dark cloud. This wasn't just about the dance anymore, it was about everything they held dear. Okay, let us stay focused, Ms. Allen said, grounding them with her calm authority. We need to divide and conquer. Amy, I can't stress how important it is to build a solid case. Get the statistics, the stories, what this dance means to everyone. Think about the students who have come through this school, all the memories tied to it. Nodding fiercely, Amy took notes with quick, decisive strokes. She felt the urgency and the pull of everything on her shoulders, a wave of responsibility mixed with adrenaline. Right. I know a few students who've been involved in past dances. Their stories will help. Thomas chimed in with a smile. And I can reach out to the other clubs. I bet they'll be willing to help us make a bigger impact. Community involvement could sway opinions. Lily, with her innocence, piped up again. Can I help too? I can bake cookies. The brief laughter that followed felt like air in their lungs. A collective sigh of relief lit the atmosphere. They were moving actions building upon one another. It felt good. That's the spirit. Ms. Allen encouraged. Every little bit helps, even if it starts with cookies. People love homemade treats. It reminds them of the community, the connection. Together, we can make this succeed. As the ideas flowed, Amy began to draft a speech. Her words tumbled onto the paper, driven by a mix of love for her family and the thrill of fighting for something important. Suddenly, her father spoke up again, breaking her concentration. Amy, can I ask you something? His voice was strained, laced with concern. What happens if this fails? What are we going to do if our plans collapse? Fear gripped Amy's heart, but she pushed it aside. Dad, we can't think like that. We have to believe we'll succeed. This will work. We just need to make it real, show them it's worth fighting for. He sighed, looking between Amy and Thomas. I believe in you both, but we've been fighting for longer than just the dance. This is about the whole school, and the hesitation was palpable. If we take this step, are we prepared for what comes next? There are financial implications, and what if the funding isn't there? Then we fight harder, Amy replied, her voice stronger than she felt. We can't give up before even trying. Glancing around, Amy felt a sense of determination build once again. They were a team, and together they could face anything. She took a deep breath. So let us talk strategy. Who do we contact? More businesses, more people. We need to cast our net wider. Just as the plans began to solidify, the doorbell chimed again, cutting through their conversation. The faint sound made everyone freeze. It's like we're in a haunted house, Amy laughed nervously, but her laughter faded as she approached the door. Before she could grasp the handle, Ms. Allen's expression changed, her face turning pale. It might be important, she whispered, stepping closer with a grave look. Heart racing, Amy reluctantly opened the door, uncertain of what or who awaited her. The surprise that awaited her could tip the balance either way, and her stomach sank into an abyss of fear and anticipation. In that moment, she realized this night could change everything. Who or what would step into their lives now? Would it bring help or more worries? As the door creaked open, her heart thumped loudly in her chest. Standing at the door was a sea of familiar faces, their friends, family, and an entire community. They arrived bearing food, smiles, and an abundance of love. We heard about the challenges. We're here to help. Someone shouted from the front of the crowd, and the rest echoed the sentiment with cheers and excitement. Amy's heart swelled as she took in the sight. Reality overcame her. This was the support they desperately needed. You all came. Her voice broke as tears threatened to spill. Her neighbors filtered in, carrying platters and baked goods, setting up a makeshift kitchen in their living room. Of course, we did. Mrs. Thompson smiled, bringing a tray of cookies closer. You don't have to fight this alone. We're all in this together. As the room filled with laughter and chatter, Amy felt her worries begin to melt away. Sharing stories of past dances and memories were weaving bonds anew, stitching together a community that had been fragile for so long. As she turned to face her family, she saw her father's eyes shining with pride, the tension of the past slipping from his shoulders. His voice trembled. "This is beautiful. Amy." Lily smiled wide, clutching the bag of cookies she had brought. "Look, I can help." "Absolutely, you can. You're already helping so much just by being you," Amy beamed back, embracing her little sister. In that embrace, she felt hope rekindle within her, the joy of togetherness igniting the darkness that had lingered for too long. Ms. Allen took charge, organizing the impromptu bake sale, discussing ways to spread the word about their dance. "We need to get everyone involved, students, parents, local businesses," she said, her confidence radiating into those around her. Her father stepped forward, taking a deep breath, and gazing at the friendly gathering. "I Haven Tea always made the right choices, but standing here tonight, I understand. We need each other. If we invest in love, sharing and building together, nothing can stand in our way." The room erupted in applause, every heartbeat resonating with newfound purpose. For the first time, it felt like the walls they had built were crumbling, and unity rushed in to fill the spaces. "Let us make it unforgettable," someone yelled, prompting everyone to rally around ideas, strategies, and promises. The energy surged like a current, each voice joining in unison. And as the sun fell behind the horizon, a sense of peace washed over Amy. She looked at her family, each face reflecting the same sense of hope and determination. Tonight would be a turning point not just for Lily, but for all of them. They were no longer just individuals struggling against the weight of their past. They were a family and a community ready to confront the future together. The clock ticked on. The meeting was set for the park, the preparations only fueling the fire within each of them. She looked at her parents, who now stood side by side, ready to face whatever lay ahead. With a deep breath, Amy whispered a heartfelt prayer of gratitude. She realized that dreams might come wrapped in struggles, but with love and support, they could carry each other forward. They could break cycles and heal wounds. "Let us do this for our family. For Lily," she shouted, her voice echoing in the hearts gathered around her. And with that, the real work began, heartfelt connections strengthening with every moment, every word spoken. United, they stood not just as family but as the vibrant tapestry of community, joy glimmering within their shared future. Now, it's time for you to act. If you appreciated this inspiring transformation, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss out on the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to feel your reactions. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to believe in the power of community and transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.